This morning, the government's considering giving votes to kids. Is this such a good idea? Plus, if you're one of the 500,000 people expected on tomorrow's anti-war march, well, what do you think it will achieve? And believe it or not, all these women want to go on a date with me tonight. So who are you going to choose as the winner? You decide on the Wright Stuff this morning. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Oh, I feel myself blushing already. Hello, welcome and big love to you all on this very special St. Valentine's Day Wright Stuff. Can you feel the love all around? Look at the audience over there. All these gorgeous girls, and let's be honest, the two fellas at the end, all right? They all entered the Winner Night with Righty competition. The prize being... There's also a terrific smell of camel's doodah around here as well. I don't know what that's about. Anyway, they've all entered the competition to win a Valentine's Day date with me, and we're going to get onto that in a minute because you're going to decide who goes with me. Go being the operative word. Does she go? Not off. I thought you ought to know, though, that today is also National Impotence Day as well. A cruel twist of irony, don't you think? I mean, who on earth came up, so to speak, with that one? Anyway, let's not waste any more time. Good morning to Janet Ellis.
Good morning.
They didn't tell me about this.
You know, I thought it would be a sad reflection on the number of women willing to throw themselves at you, but actually, the whole thing's got quite a Victorian air this morning. If you lot had fans, you'd be in corners going, I fancy your chances, Mr. Wright.
I really am feeling under pressure today, folks. I can't lie about it. Henry, you all right?
I'm in great form. You've been mocking my bachelorhood for years. And now, look at this morning. I cannot wait. He's going to be the mother of all Wright Stuff, as Saddam Hussein might say.
Excellent. Joining us to review the papers, by the way, is journalist, GMTV reporter and all-round oddbod, Richard Mackey.
What does that mean?
Well, if you don't... Well, this is the type of nonsensical rubbish he usually makes for GMTV. Check this out.
The way that she moved was soft, swift and pretty, like the little lad Jensen in midfield for Man City. Oh, hello there. Just enjoying a couple of lines of my favourite love poetry by the popular news broadcaster John Stapleton. But how do we prevent our own relationships from withering? Well, to find out, we've come to talk to the people who package the very flowers you want to say it with. So there we go. You see, Johnny the editor said we're not going to show anything because it's all rubbish. And he was right.
Funny rubbish. It is funny rubbish. Nice.
Apparently not. That was an incredibly stony-faced audience.
They've got other things on their mind.
They've got one other thing, I think.
Other things on their mind.
The smell of hormones is thick in the air.
Now, we're going to kick off today's programme with Richard looking at the day's papers. And then we're going to be asking, from a story in today's Times, should kids as young as 16 be given the vote? The government, Tony Blair in fact, thinks such a move will encourage young people to shake off their apathy and get involved in democracy. But is Tony right? Do you want kids as young as 16 dictating international policy? Mind you, I suppose if you look at the way MPs are doing it now, we might actually be better off with a load of children taking control. Let's hear what you have to say. Then we're going to move on to the big debate this morning, tomorrow's anti-war march. Now, at least 500,000 people are expected to demonstrate in London and Glasgow against the war with Iraq. It could be one of the biggest ever mass protests in this country, uniting young and old, rich and poor, black and white. And it's not just here in Britain either. Something in the region of 10 million people are expected to march in cities around the world over the weekend. It's all good stuff, but will it make a jot of difference? You tell me. And finally, seeing as blind dates and Valentines go hand in hand, I want to hear all about your blind dates from hell. What happened? Did your date turn out to be a psycho or just plain dull? And if you've been watching the show this week, you'll know we've been running a winner night with Righty competition. Well, today's the day that you at home can pick the winner from these three lovely ladies, I feel like Scylla here, who were picked from literally hundreds by Henry and Janet after yesterday's show. So we're going to have serious words after the end of this programme. OK, Matt, tell us who they are.
Well, will it be number one, Natasha, 29, from London? Will it be Caroline, 29, as well, from Kent? Will it be Charlotte, who says she's 29 again, from Essex? Matthew, the decision isn't yours.
No, the decision is going to be yours, but I thought what we'd do, first of all, is get the ladies to stand up one at a time and say in 10 seconds, no more than 10 seconds, why you deserve a date with me. Matt, take it away.
You've got 10 seconds to sell yourselves, ladies, so to speak. Here we go. The time starts now.
Poor Matthew, your plea on mid-morning TV. Well, I stopped in my tracks, but I'll send him a fax. I'll solve his problem for Valentine's Day. I'll stop his evening from feeling all grey. Can't have such sorrow out there on display.
Oh, they're out of time, I'm afraid, thankfully. And number 2, if you'd like to stand up. Your time starts now.
I think I should have a date with Matthew because I'm witty, I'm fun, I'm intelligent. That's one date, isn't it? Okay, none of those, but after 2 drinks, I'm drunk. So I'm a really cheap date.
Out of time. And number 3, Charlotte. Your time.
I don't have any fancy poems or anything like that. This is me, and I took me hell to get here this morning, so it's out of my hands and in your hands, so do the right thing and choose me.
Brilliant.
Aww.
I'm quite touched.
I'm touched.
Get away from the man. Get away. Get away. Now, who do you think should be my date for tonight? Well, this is a bit that you can decide. I can't believe I'm allowing them to do this to me. So, if you think the lovely Natasha is the lady for me, dial 0901 561 0011. If the gorgeous Caroline is my ideal woman, then dial 0901 561 0012. Or is the delicious Charlotte the one for me? If you think so, dial 0901 561 0013. It's only 10p a vote, which will be a lot cheaper than dinner. Anyway, that's me sorted for tonight. What about the rest of you? I thought we might try and find Britain's biggest Valentine's saddos as well today. So ring now if you've never had a date on Valentine's Day, or even a card. Are you a Valentine's Day disaster? If you are, let me know about it and we'll have a good laugh in a nice way. If you need a reminder about how to get in touch, well, here's a lady whose desk is already overflowing with cards.
Yeah.
Beth.
Are we still on the current affairs show here?
Yeah, kind of. My affairs are current.
Exactly, that's very true. Well, actually, I have a very special message for a very, very special man. Now, we haven't actually known each other, but I know deep in my heart that he is the one for me, and I can't believe I'm going to do this. Will you do the honour of making me Mrs. Robbie Williams? Now, Robbie, I know we haven't met before, but hey, you know, I'm not doing anything tonight, so if you're free and I'm free, come on. Well, I'm waiting for the phone call now. Well, if you want to give us a ring and tell us any of your stories and opinions, do it now. 0207 173 5555. That's 0207 173 5555. You can also email wrightstuff@5.tv, and that's also for all your tributes and messages to give to your loved ones. And you can also text us. Send them into 86188. We've already got 2 messages. To my jelly belly, we don't have much time together, but maybe tonight we could have a bit of a wobble. Always yours, Muffin. And we've got one to Helen. I really love you, my darling. Thank you for all your love, Sean.
Oh, jelly belly. All right, jelly belly, what's in the paper?
So this is it. This is how we segue, okay, from Jelly Belly to war.
Yeah. Serious
From current affairs. Well, the main story, probably people have heard of this. It's one of those great don't panic stories. We've been told not to panic about it. And then you get a headline like that from the Sun. Terror flies in. It's the grenade found on a jet, on a British Airways jet from Venezuela, which had been being rerouted by Bogota and various other places. He walked through, managed to get on the plane with a live grenade.
It's quite extraordinary that I suppose people are getting that kind of stuff on. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know who to blame. The National Guard in Venezuela is responsible for checking baggage, apparently. So, but I don't know. Maybe this man's been bringing grenades in for years, and just to the one day. Just sells them. I don't know.
There's been some arrests as well.
Absolutely. This morning, it's been revealed that 4 suspects were arrested close to Heathrow. There's a place called Langley in Berkshire. It's a few miles outside Heathrow Airport. And apparently they were under the flight pass. I'm not sure if they had any Qurans with them or if they had brown skin or whatever.
Or binoculars and a notepad and pen.
Exactly, but I mean, it comes obviously on a day when several other men were arrested very close to Heathrow Airport, near the perimeter, because of course the big fear is that somebody's got a SAM missile launcher, the kind that was used in Mombasa to try and bring down the Israeli jet. That's the big fear at the moment.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
It's one of those weird ones. Again, you mentioned the Quran. But from what I saw on the news this morning, the breaking news was it's not linked to Al-Qaeda, and then the Sun has, he's got a copy of the Quran and he's got strange wire.
Strange
wire. That seems to be the catching factor.
I know who are Christian and who travel on planes carry a Bible.
Yeah.
Not strange wire though, so they're all right.
Well, yeah. Okay, let's move on. Come.
The other one, which is more interesting actually, it's an ethnicity story from the April census from 2001, which is apparently 1 in 9 are now ethnic minorities for the first time ever. 2 areas of Britain. There's one, Newham in East London, and Brent northwest London now have more blacks and Asians than whites, or people who describe themselves as whites, which is the changing face.
Does that mean that white people have become the ethnic minority?
Well, I don't know. So they're no longer minorities.
In those two boroughs, that's right, yeah. And you'd be forgiven for thinking, my God, Britain is really changing, but that's only the case in the major urban population centres.
In just two boroughs, is it?
Yeah, obviously. You know, Leicester's pretty heavily Asian as well. But if you go outside the main conurbations, of course, England is as it was back in the 50s. It's not changed.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting side of it is the religious side of it. This is, as part of the census, of course, it's major religions. The biggest religion, of course, Christianity. It's about 71%. And the second biggest is no religion at all, which is nice. People phoning in saying, no, I watch telly.
And where did Jedi Knights come in?
Well, this is it. Jedi Knights is fourth after Muslim. Jedi Knights, 400,000 people. I mean, it was a big thing at the time on the internet. People saying, you know, if you register more than 10,000, it become official. It didn't, but 400,000 people registered saying they're Jedi Knights. A lot of them probably very serious. I like the idea of sort of very average middle-aged couples and saying, yes, my wife and I did be Jedis, since, you know.
Henry, what have you got for us, please, Rick?
There's a guy here in the Daily Mail who is being described as Britain's most honest policeman. I would call him Robocop. He's the guy, Terry Grange, the Chief Constable of Daffyd Palace in West Wales, who says personally he would like to line up the drug dealers, the drug pushers against the wall, and he says, what I would like to say to them is, if you would be so kind as to stand up against that wall for a minute, then I'd be shouting, load, aim, fire. Personally, I'd shoot. Now, normally, that's the kind of thing that would get you into trouble with the Home Secretary, or at least ACPO, the Association of Chief Police Officers. But maybe it's a sign of the times. Neither of those two organisations has said anything against what he said. Maybe it's because it's tapping the chord of the public.
Judge Dredd, isn't it?
Who knows?
Coming to a town near you.
I like the line, if you'd be so kind.
I know.
We're going to kill you.
At least he was being British about it.
Yeah, fantastic.
Very quickly, in the Times, Drifter admits to killing Caroline in youth hostel. This goes back to 1996. Remember that young woman, Caroline Dickinson, who was raped and suffocated in a youth hostel in Brittany. It took a long time. On a school trip. Right, yeah. A long time, and a lot of pressure from her father, John. A lot of criticism for the French police, who were felt not to be interested because it was a British girl. But finally, this man, Francisco Arce Montes, is 53, who was in Florida at the time in November 2001 when DNA evidence linked him to the murder.
I remember.
He's now admitted it. He suffocated her, raped her, and now it seems as though he wants to plea bargain to get down to manslaughter, and that's what the father's extremely worried about.
It's extraordinary how tucked away that story is, though, isn't it? Considering at the time it was front page for weeks, and it obviously, you know, apart from the fact that it was an horrific murder, it tapped into a terrible fear we have of sending our children off anywhere without us.
Absolutely.
And tucked away now in the paper.
Caught the guy, that's it, we can forget about it now.
That's what it is, yeah. And finally, in The Sun, Wet a Save Grant is a trio of pictures of this woman, Maggie Gilling, 63 years old, really brave, dive into this freezing river to save her granddaughter Poppy, aged 3. They were feeding the swans from a 12-foot harbour wall. Her granddaughter,
Swans for vegetarians?
They were feeding the swans were not feeding on them, right? Okay.
Right.
She fell over
Boring story now. That's quite good for me.
She fell over this 12-foot harbour wall, and Maggie dived in, trod water until rescuers pulled them out at Lymington in Hunt. And they're both fine now.
She must be really heavy.
Absolutely, but she's done really well, so bravo to her.
But two things motivated that, aren't there? First of all, terrible tragedy of child falling in. Also, what do you say to her mum?
What about the killer swans? What happened to that?
There are no killer swans. Have I read the wrong story here?
What have you got for us, Charlotte?
Well, all week I've been really enjoying Catherine Zeta-Jones' luxurious court appearances for this case she's having over which magazine. I can't even bother to name them now. Which magazine didn't publish her photos or publish the wrong ones, or she didn't like them. No less a person than Posh Spice in the Sun today has hit back because at some point during this extraordinary trial, somebody said what they didn't want was a wedding like Posh and Beck's. And instead of keeping quiet and letting us think they have thrown, so what? Posh has spoken to a friend, you know, the sort of friend who's straight on the phone to the papers, to say, well, at her wedding she's really fat. Anyway, she had blubber, baby blubber. It has done Posh a disservice, because, apart from anything else, she wasn't fat, Posh, she was normal size. You are just extremely thin. That's a normal wedding. Anyway, this could go on for ages and ages. It's just, why don't these people not say anything
That's why they
at all?
pay PRs to promote them and come up with these, get them in the papers.
Something you say when you're 12, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's real playground stuff. It's real playground stuff. I didn't like your stones or your fat. No, it doesn't look good, girls. Just don't. Okay. More vaccine census stuff this morning. The number of households headed by married couples, has fallen below 50% in the Times this morning. But weren't we just told that more people are getting married? I mean,
Yes, but they're remarriages though, aren't they? Significantly.
Ah, yeah.
Really?
A huge proportion, about 40% of them.
Because my initial thought is that they must have been asked by really attractive researchers whether they were married, but no, I'm not. No.
Also,
you filled in the form yourself, didn't you?
When the Jedi Knights are roaming around the universe, they're not actually with their partners, so that would also explain why our married homes, they're not there.
Filling another form.
Yeah,
This census is rapidly turning into the dullest census
well, it does,
of
but
all
it turns
time,
up facts like the Southwest has the highest proportion of pensioners. Yeah, that's because people retire.
Are people really doing it twice a week? That's what I want to know. Everybody says it, but evidently not me. Well, not yet, anyway.
You want to have an answer to that, Matthew? Would you rather not? Really? A heartwarming story from The Sun this morning. A chef whacked his assistant over the head with a saucepan of boiling potatoes because the assistant, Richard Wilkinson, 20, refused to mix batter for Yorkshire pudding and then asked for the recipe. Otherwise, he didn't know how to do it. The chef in question has now got community service, but he's also got a job at London's Cafe Royal. So watch out what you say there, really.
How do you do the Caesar salad?
Thank you very much for that, everybody. Let's move things on, because after the break I'm asking, should 16-year-old kids be given the vote? It's not such as odd as it seems that you can fight, work, pay taxes at 16. So why shouldn't you be allowed to choose a government? Give the Loved Up Wright Stuff team a call right now, 0207 173 5555. There's so much apathy towards voting these days. Do you think lowering the age of voting to 16 will actually encourage more people to take a go, or have a go? Your views on votes for kids after the ads. In which country do 15-year-olds have the right to vote? Is it the Sudan, is it Iran, or is it North Korea? Find out the answer straight after the ads.
Morning, Bob. Mortgage sorted? Yeah. Good rate? 4.85 with intelligent finance. But it could be like 3.8.
Sorry?
Well, if you have 8 grand in savings and a 95 grand mortgage with intelligent finance over 25 years, by choosing not to earn interest on your savings, you don't pay interest on the same amount of your mortgage. It's called offsetting.
And
for the same total cost with nothing to offset, it's like a 25-year mortgage at 3.8%.
And
this is your floor.
Find out what offsetting could do for you. Call 0845 607 1100 or visit if.com.
Nescafe Cappuccino. Very, very frothy coffee.
It's come to my notice that some people are paying as much as 15.9% APR on personal loans. They can't be doing their sums properly. Okay, class. Who charges between 11.9 and 15.9% APR?
the big four banks.
Exactly. No, and who charges as little as 9.9% APR?
Halifax.
Extraordinary. And as I shall prove with this simple demonstration, this compared with this equals bing, extra value. Which begs the question, who gives you extra? Who? We do. Who gives you extra?
You sat on them, you can pay for them.
Yeah, right. You could have got a spare pair free if you'd gone to Specsavers.
Looking for a holiday that's something special? Welcome to Saga, a company that specializes in great value holidays for today's over 50s, that welcomes thousands of people to exciting destinations all over the world. To discover new activities or simply have a great time, just phone 0800 50 50 80 for a Saga brochure and start planning a fabulous holiday today. Saga, welcome to the time of your life.
One morning at work, Barbara Collier's chair collapsed, leaving her with painful injuries to her back and knee. She called the National Accident Helpline. Within 24 hours, we arranged for her to meet a local solicitor who specialises in personal injury claims. She received £6,000 in compensation. If you've had an accident recently that wasn't your fault, find out free if you can make a no-win, no-fee claim. Call the National Accident Helpline now on 0800 556 557.
How much did you save again with this direct line car insurance?
20%.
It's quite a lot.
Call Direct Line today and see how much you could save too.
So you've got a bit more spare cash than you had before then?
Loaded.
You stop here and you can buy me lunch.
Absolutely.
Switch now and you could save yourself up to 20%.
Well, look after the penny.
Call now on 0845 246 3030.
So in which country do 15-year-olds have the right to vote? The answer is, surprisingly, Iran. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Lovely, lovely, lovely ladies. Oh yeah, kids, sorry, back to the show. Kids as young as 15 have the right to vote in Iran. There you go, fascinating fact. So welcome back. It's also Valentine's Day today and World Impotence Day as well on the Wright Stuff. We're all a bit loved up, at least I am. Janet Ellis, Henry Bonsey, Richard McNee, they're all on today's panel as well. Flush of sexual excitement blushing on their cheeks. Anyway, coming up a little later in the programme, are you going on tomorrow's anti-war march, or do you think war is inevitable and that marching is therefore a waste of time? Whatever your view, I'd like to hear it. But first, voting for children at 16. Is this a good idea or not? Well, the government is seriously considering giving kids as young as 16 the vote. Their idea is that it will encourage more young people to actually vote at election time. It would also put us on a par with countries like Cuba, Brazil and Nicaragua, but out of step with the rest of Europe. Now, the last time the idea of giving kids the vote was debated in the Commons, that was back in 1999. It was heavily defeated. But what's the problem? I mean, if you can have sex, if you can fight for your country, if you can pay taxes to your government at 16, then why shouldn't you have the vote, Henry?
Well, if you look at the kind of people who are least likely to vote in a general election now, it's youngsters between the ages of 18 and 21. I don't know where the demand for this is coming from. I don't think young people are being consulted. I think it's come from ministers and think tanks. I do support the notion of making young people more politically aware in schools, because already they have PSC education, personal and social education, and citizenship classes, which apparently have gone well. Maybe they should try and encourage debating societies.
Hang on a minute. Right? If you pay taxes to a government,
yeah,
surely you should have some say in a democracy about how that government spends your money.
That's the broad absolute. But there are lots of things you can do at 16 and 17, that you cannot do when you're 15 or 14. But if you look at what the real age threshold for adulthood in this country is, it's actually 18. And that's where I think maturity really, that's the real onset of maturity in this country. As far as the demand is concerned, I don't think young people really want to go out there and be burdened by the concerns of adulthood. If you go into a school and you speak to 15, 16-year-olds, most of them have no idea even who the Home Secretary is. They have no idea what the grand areas of debate in this country are.
Okay,
they'll know about
maybe
they
said the vote that would change, Harry. What do you say, Janet?
Well, the trouble is,
You're just thinking about your Jack having the vote, aren't you?
I'm definitely thinking that, yeah.
I don't care who it is, as long as they like metal.
As long as they like audio plays. Most people in this country have very scant political information anyway. People, if it's not the obvious members of the government, they do scratch their heads somewhere when they're asked to name people who represent us, but most people don't even know who their MP is. I think the trouble is with this, that you are giving to 16-year-olds something which I think they should feel they've earned. And I think that's if people are going to become politically aware, those 2 years you do grow up rapidly, remarkably, and hopefully, thoughtfully. Now, like I say, it's not a sort of given that once you have the vote, you're going to suddenly become politically aware. But I don't think saying to somebody who's 16, oh, great, you're 16, you can have sex and you can vote. Well, a bit of an obvious choice, which they're going to think about mostly for the next 2 years. Also, as you know, I passionately believe that people don't use their votes, and I don't want to give an awful lot more people who are not going to use their votes the chance to not use it.
Okay.
It seems a bit soggy.
Okay, it must have been if they're thinking about finding ways to get more people into the ballot boxes at election time, then maybe we should go down the Australian route and actually make voting compulsory, with the option, of course, to vote for none of the political parties that currently represent us. I think that would be the best way. That's my views. What are yours? Let's hear the phones.
Oh, on line one we've got our Edward from Essex.
Edward, good morning.
Good morning.
Now, how old are you, young sir?
I'm 13.
Okay, now, would you like to vote in an election?
Well, I don't think it's a question of liking to. People around my age do not know enough to be given the vote. I mean, it would just be treated as some kind of joke, and I think Henry's right. If you go onto a school say from the 3rd year to the 5th year,
Yeah.
then you ask questions about the government, they're not going to know at all.
No. Do you think, though, maybe... what do you say then? You're 13 now. What would you say at 16? Do you think your view on that might change?
No. I really don't. I think...
all right.
I mean, James, what are the biggest, most important concerns to you in your life at 13 right now? Are you thinking about Tony Blair? Are you thinking about Jack Straw? Or are you thinking about your GCSEs?
Or sex, though, but let's be honest, 13...
At 13 at the moment, I'm thinking about my education. When I get older, when I get out of university, get a job, then I'll think about voting. Then I'll be doing a service for the country, and I'll be thinking about voting.
Do you have a debating society in your school? Because you sound like you do.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what Henry's actually trying to say, Edward, is that for a young man of 13, you come across as a much more mature and wise individual than your years would suggest.
You know what,
congratulate you on that, sir.
Remember what William Hague was like at 16?
Yeah. I'm sure Edward won't be like that. Thank you very much for the call. Let's have another one, please, sir.
Okay, we'll go to line 3. We've got James from London.
James, good morning.
Hello.
And how old are you, sir?
I'm 16.
You're 16. Would you like the vote?
I would.
Do you?
I think that, you know, I can leave school at 16 and get a full-time job.
Yeah.
And therefore having to pay taxes to the government, who I've got no choice of which one I want in power. So.
Do you think there's an issue here about the amount of information, political information, 15 and 16-year-olds might have? Do you think that's a point? I mean, do you think you're fully aware of what the different political parties are, what their differences are, what their policies are?
Well, personally, I'm interested in politics anyway, so I do, and we have lessons during school for this, as the panel said. And as a thing of maturity, I don't think it's an issue at all.
Okay, it's interesting, of course, because your voice is broken. You could be 50 for all I know.
And we don't usually use Bosnia-Herzegovina as a role model, but there, if you're 16 and employed, you can vote, otherwise it's 18. So
yeah, but look at places like, Iran, you can vote there, but how many different political parties do you have? Brazil and Nicaragua, where they kill street children, so we can't really...
I don't really any of them, really, are they?
To say that young people shouldn't have the vote because they don't have enough political information, well, you can apply exactly the same, probably to, I don't know, 60% of the population of the country, really. So,
but it still feels like something you should earn, I think.
Yes.
You know, wait to use. If you feel strongly about things, you know, most people at 16 are still living at home with their parents. If at 18 you still feel as strongly, here's your chance. But it does give you time to mull things over.
And for some reason in this country, we seem to be insisting on lowering the bar for adulthood. We've got to stop doing that, allow children to grow.
You know, things like sort of the biochemistry of the human body, you know, I think it was back about 200 years, you know, women began menstruating about 17, 18 years of age. Now it's 11, 12. Things are changing.
Well, maybe we should give them a vote at 11, 12 if you keep that principle up. No, it's because of the kind of GM food and the beef burgers. That's what it is. I've said this before. No, but it's true, it's true.
Oh, you might have a point. Anyway, we're running out of time. Thanks to James and Edward, the two young men on the phone there, and they're talking about voting. Of course, you can vote for the date tonight. It doesn't matter how old you are. Who is going to be my date? Well, we've got 3 lovely ladies in the audience today who've all said, heaven knows why, that they're prepared to go on a date with me. Yes! You have the right to vote for which one you think will be my ideal date, so in case you've forgotten what they're like, here's our Matt with a quick reminder. Matt.
Well, will it be number 1? I'd certainly give her one. It's Natasha, the blonde leggy poet. Will you choose her for Matthew? Or could it be number 2? Is her love true? The air stewardess who'd like to be anyone's after a couple of drinks. Or last but certainly not least, it's Charlotte who says it lies in your hands. But what else will be lying in her hands later? Matthew, the decision isn't yours.
Will you stop saying that bit as well? It gets me freaked out. Thank you, Matt. So, if you think the lovely Natasha is the lady for me, then dial 0901 561 0011. If you think the gorgeous Caroline is my ideal woman, fly me, then 0901 561 0012 is the number you should dial. And if you think the delicious Charlotte is the one for me, then please dial 0901 561 0013. So far, the results coming through. Charlotte's got 66%, Caroline's got 29%, and Natasha's got just 5%. That's not fair. Get voting. After the break, are you joining the 500,000 protesters expected on tomorrow's anti-war march? I can't tell you whether I am or not, but let's put it this way, I'm expecting to have a long walk through the centre of London. Just shopping there. Do you think the march will achieve anything? Will it stop a war in Iraq? Will the government be forced to listen if the protest is as big as everyone anticipates? That's the crucial question. Give us a call now, 0207 173 5555 with your thoughts. We'll hear what you have to say in a minute or 3. In 2001, 1,000 people protested against the EU in Sweden by doing what? Gurning, mooning or cow tipping? Find out the answer after the break.
Italian food puts me in the mood.
Maybe, but clean the kitchen first.
But I cooked.
It'll be worth your while.
Thank goodness for Flash with bleach. It's brilliant on everyday mess. Like boiled over pasta and dried on tomato sauce.
Pete, I didn't expect you to finish so quickly.
Well, you know me. I always do. Flash with bleach does the hard work, so you don't have to.
Warning, this is definitely not for the timid.
L'Oreal creates Lash Architect, its first full slash effect mascara. Its patented spiral brush and 3D effect formula give a full slash effect from every angle.
See? Thicker, longer, curvier. So forget false lashes.
Get new Lash Architect from L'Oreal.
Because you're worth it.
They don't have fur of their own, so they're free to use mine. In fact, I enjoy it.
Yeah, good boy.
Most of the time, anyway. I know. Right. If you want to pet something, pet this.
Andrex is Andrex Soft and Andrex Thick.
Result.
Andrex, looking out for the family.
How much did you save again with this direct line car insurance?
20%.
It's quite a lot.
Call Direct Line today and see how much you could save too.
So you've got a bit more spare cash than you had before then?
Loaded.
Well, stop here and you can buy me lunch.
Absolutely.
Switch now and you could save yourself up to 20%.
Well, look after the penny.
Call now on 0845 246 3030.
On February the 17th, the congestion charge is being introduced.
It costs £5 a day, Monday to Friday, 7 AM till 6:30.
So, you can pay online, by phone, selected shops, petrol stations. Okay, so, it's no laugh and racker. But then again, neither is the thought of having to get up before you go to bed just so you can get to work on time, is it? Here, pal. Cheers.
Are you ready for congestion charging?
Hey, try Blistex Relief Cream for cracked lips, chapped lips, sore lips, whatever. Blistex loves lips.
What you want is a mortgage linked to your pension.
No, you need to make sure it's capped to base rate.
No, they're switching mortgage. They want an interest-only tracker like ours.
Don't listen to him. There's so many mortgages to choose from.
Yeah, I went to Direct Line. They did it all over the phone and their rates are great.
We calculate interest daily and paying a bit extra monthly could save you thousands in interest. Call 0800 051 1122. Get a personal illustration to see exactly what our great 2-year discounted rates could do for you. Call 0800 051 1122. That's 0800 051 1122. For a great deal, whether you're moving home or moving mortgage.
Got something you want to share? Then do it with Alpha Telecom. With Alpha, you can talk to the world from only 2p. Opening your Alpha account is easy. There's no need to change your phone, line or number. Just call free now on 0800 376 2345 and talk to the world from only 2p. Alpha Telecom. Live life to the full. Share your experience. Call free now on 0800 376 2345.
So in 2001, 1,000 people protested against the EU in Sweden by doing what? The answer is mooning. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies. Welcome back to 5. This is the Wright Stuff with me, Matthew Lucky Wright. On today's panel, Janet Romantic Ellis, Henry Big Heart Bonsu and Richard Mackney.
Don't say it.
Oddball. It's Valentine's Day. A little later we'll be hearing all about your blind date disasters. We'll also be finding out which one of these lovely ladies over here will be having dinner with me tonight. Henry, stop it. Anyway, but first, you're going on the anti-war march tomorrow. Will it work, or will the government just ignore the protest? Give me a call with your thoughts about how things will work out. The Stop the War Coalition, that's the group organising the anti-war march, I reckon anything between 500,000 and 1 million people will demonstrate in London and Glasgow tomorrow. That's quite a few more than, 150,000 or so who turned out for the last march back in September, which I think goes to show that the level of anti-war feeling in this country is growing. But the war won't just affect this country, which is why some 10 million people the world over are expected to join protests elsewhere. Now, I remember going on the C&D march back in 81, I think it was, and it wasn't long after that before sort of nuclear weapons dropped right down the political agenda. Similarly, it wasn't long after the poll tax demos that Mrs Thatcher had to do a very embarrassing U-turn with that policy. But the big question, Richard, is will Saturday's march do anything to convince Mr Blair he's pursuing the wrong path?
I don't think it will, no, because all Mr Blair has to do is, well, what are you going to do at the next election? You're going to vote for Ian Duncan Smith? No, you're not. Are you going to vote for Charles Kennedy? No, you're not. They're in such a strong position, dissent doesn't matter to this government.
But on a scale, I can't believe, I mean, certainly in my lifetime, there won't have been a demonstration of over 500,000 people in London.
Well, it's very hard to judge numbers, isn't it? They said just about the countryside march, there was 500,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. This one, I don't know whether to go on it. Because I'm so confused about the whole thing anyway, until about
that was the most extraordinary thing from a BBC debate earlier in the week. And they listed up various things. Is the war about deposing Saddam Hussein,
Well, yeah.
getting rid of weapons of mass destruction, controlling international terrorism, or getting oil? And it roughly got about an even 25% vote across.
And is the march anti-attack on Iraq? Well, fair enough, everyone would support that. But is it anti-all war? You can't do that because of what about a preemptive strike by North Korea? Is it anti-Israel? I don't know. And is it anti-American as well, which is probably a large portion of it, which is fair enough. I mean, they're loud and vulgar and wear bad shirts, but they've got lots of money. Don't diss America.
Janet, 500,000 people. Let's just say 500,000 people do. I have a gut feeling it's actually going to probably go over that. Will Tony Blair listen? Will he be forced to listen?
I think it's more individual ministers and politicians who'll be unnerved by the scale of feeling, actually, because essentially, this is right, they have a very strong majority, they are easily in power at the moment. But I think it's the sort of thing that does come back to haunt people, this sort of strength of public feeling. I don't think you march tomorrow because you think on Sunday Blair's going to wake up and go, oh, they're right, or look out of his window and go, that many people? Okay, and put a cross against America. But I do think that sort of strength of feeling, for a start, it's brilliant that people do nothing else except say, this is how I feel, all together, in one place, with a lot of other brilliant people.
Rather like the audience today.
Well, not the analogy I was going to draw, but yes, actually, now you mention it. But I do think, if you've ever been on one of those marches, and in my youth I used to walk for women's liberation, and you might say that did no good, but I think it did. I think there was a groundswell of feeling that fed into the way people acted for years afterwards. And even if a single day doesn't change the day after, it might change 10 years.
Okay. Yeah, and it's going to reinforce the position, if Mr Blair doesn't listen, that he's increasingly out of touch. I mean, we keep talking about his huge majority, but at the moment, Labour are only 1% above the Conservatives, which is the narrowest gap between the two of them for absolutely years.
It reflects back in the booth.
Okay, well, joining me on the line now is Tony Benn, who recently won the coveted Channel 4 Politician of the Year award, ironically, just after leaving politics in the House of Commons. Good morning, Tony.
Hello.
Hello, thank you for joining us. The question really, the main question I'm trying to get answered right now is, if 500,000 people do turn up on the demo, will Tony Blair be forced to listen?
Well, that's the forecast, isn't it? But I mean, if you look at history, how did men get the vote? They demonstrated. How did women get the vote? They demonstrated. How did the poll tax get beat? They demonstrated. How did apartheid end? They demonstrated. I mean, if you look at history in a proper way, you realise all progressive ideas come from underneath. And the other thing is, all the people turning out tomorrow will get such hope because they're demonstrating in Los Angeles, Chicago, Washington, London, New York, Berlin. I think there are 600 cities and villages in 40 countries demonstrating tomorrow. I mean, that's a huge expression.
Do you think our politicians are, I mean, they're not showing it, but do you think they're anxious about the scale of opposition to a war?
Well, I mean, no, you can't take a country to war without its own consent. I mean, often when you go to war, people die. Our own people may die. And if it's done without the UN, any British soldiers are told to kill Iraqis will be guilty of war crimes. You can't ask people to do that without the consent of Parliament and the public. I mean, it's so obvious.
Okay, now everyone's assuming the worst case scenario here, that we are going to go to war, that perhaps that was George Bush's intent right from the very beginning. But can I ask you, Tony, are we going to go to war? What's your gut feeling?
Mine?
Yes.
Well, Bush is determined to invade Iraq. I mean, it's perfectly straightforward. If the Prime Minister opposed it, I think Bush would find it very difficult to do, because American opinion doesn't want to go into a war alone without the UN or without Britain, because that would be another Vietnam War. So in this circumstances, the London demonstration is especially important, because if the Prime Minister realises he cannot go to war and says to Bush, I'm sorry, I'd like to, but I can't because of opposition in Britain, Bush might not be able to do it.
Interesting. Tony Benn, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Enjoy. Let's go to the phones.
Okay, on line 2 we'll go to Richard from London.
Good morning.
Hello,
Hi,
Matthew.
Richard.
Yes, how nice to follow Tony Benn, who I bumped into in the tea room the other day.
Okay.
Yes, this demonstration on Saturday, provided that London transport doesn't collapse first, like my friend who was a steward had a 2-hour journey to try and get me from the hospital up the road where you are, we might have a demonstration. 500,000 people, please, and also send letters to your MP. 500,000 letters into the House of Commons will be very, very damning.
But Richard, do you think the MPs, our elected representatives, are going to listen to us? Because so far they're not, are they?
No, I think they are. I think an awful lot more on the green benches, they're listening. Tony Benn, I beg your pardon, Tony Blair, sorry, Freudian slip. Tony Blair may not be listening. Tony Benn most definitely is. And that's the point. We've got to get through to our MPs that this isn't the right way. I'm going to write to my MP, and I would urge everybody else to.
Okay, Richard.
I really do feel very strongly. It's like the Countryside Alliance. It's taken time for it to trickle through.
Richard, I want to move it on if I can, because I'm intrigued to see what our lovely audience of beautiful young women are going to be doing tomorrow. Hands up, who's going on the march, please? So, not one of you is going on the march tomorrow. Why?
They're going to be in Matthew Wright's hotel room.
Here's hoping. Okay, I'm surprised because actually the polls have been showing that the anti-war march is getting about 3-to-1 support from women, that there's 3 times as many women than men that want to go.
Yes, and there's
which is one of the reasons that I might be going for a long walk. That's how tonight goes. Henry?
I think that the more important thing about the next 24 or 48 hours is what happens in the United Nations when Dr. Hans Blix and Mohammed El-Baradei, UN weapons inspectors, tell the UN Security Council whether or not they can really make progress in Iraq, or whether they should say, we're throwing in the towel, you decide what to do next, and then it's going to be up to Britain and America to come forward with this second resolution, which then will probably be vetoed by Russia, China, and then France.
Yeah, but you know,
and then America may then have to go to
There's a worst-case scenario that, in fact, we are getting ready now in Kuwait to march, to fight. Our soldiers will not disobey orders. If somebody gave the order tomorrow, they would be marching through. They would be in their tanks.
Do you think that there is going to be a knee-jerk response? If Hans Blix says, you know, we're not getting the assistance we need.
I think so. And also, I think that then you can argue to your heart's content that it was a war crime that one British soldier killed an Iraqi, but he's already dead, you know, and I think it's going to be something that might occupy lawyers and human rights activists, in theory, for 10 years after the event.
We'll leave it there. Thanks to Tony Benn and to our callers as well. After the break, the end is nigh, folks. Have you been on a disastrous blind date, ladies? What went wrong? Give us a call, 0207 173 5555. Was he or she a nightmare? That's the number you need if you want to let us know. Did you embarrass yourself? In fact, are blind dates ever a good idea? I don't know. We'll find out. And while you're at it, if you've got any tips for my blind date tonight, then give us a call about that. And don't forget, you can still choose who's going to be going with me. See you in a minute or 3.
How many entries were there for the Win the Date with our Matthew competition? Was it 97, 249 or 3,242? Find out after the break.
Like the new car, how'd you manage that?
I got this personal loan from Intelligent Finance.
They do personal loans as well.
And I chose to offset my current account against my loan. So instead of earning interest on my current account...
They don't charge you interest on the same amount of your loan?
Precisely. By simply making my normal monthly payments, the loan is paid off earlier, making my loan cheaper.
Do you think they give me a loan?
Call them. It's easy to apply. Are open 365 days a year.
Find out what offsetting could do for you. Call 0845 607 1100 or visit if.com.
happens when you use picture messaging from Vodafone Live.
Are you over 70 and a homeowner?
It is the first time that I have been free from money worries.
Look forward to a better life. Call AMP free on 0800 80 81 82 and discover the benefits of the extra income plan.
It doesn't make sense to struggle and try to make ends meet when all that money's just sat there.
You can exchange a share in the value of your home in return for a guaranteed monthly income for life with the option of a tax-free cash lump sum. And you decide what proportion of your home is used to unlock the money, which means you can still pass on an inheritance.
There will always be something left over for my son.
The plan guarantees your right to live in your home for as long as you wish, and it includes buildings insurance, which means one less bill to pay.
Oh, it's made an enormous difference.
So if you're over 70 and a homeowner, call us free on 0800 80 81 82 for a no-obligation information pack.
Now let me get this straight. You're saying that I can have a car on credit, even if I've been refused elsewhere?
Yes, you could.
And we could use our old car as full deposit?
Yes, you could, whatever its condition. And I could have repayments to suit my budget? Yes, you could.
And we can have a car that has a 125-point inspection?
Yes, you could.
And I could see a huge choice of cars and drive away the same day?
Yes, of course you could.
Yes.
Just call Yes Car Credit now on 0800 085 6600 or apply online at yescarcredit.net, because if you've been refused credit for a car, we're waiting to say yes.
Another man done gone. Another man done gone.
Today we take a fascinating look at what spring cleaning will be like in the 21st century. Thanks to advanced technology, scrubbing like this will be a thing of the past. Whatever the job, Flash has the tools. So, those grimy in-betweeny bits, hard-to-reach places, and that bit what lurks behind the lavatory will be oh so simple to clean. Some even predict men will do the cleaning. Flash does the hard work, so one won't have to.
So, how many entries were there for the Win a Date with Righty competition? The answer was 249. Yeah, that's right. 249 people emailed, sent cards, pleaded, begged, grovelled, sent bits of their relatives in, including an orthopaedic footwear catalogue, which might come in useful, 50 pictures, some poems, and one donkey, one camel, and 4 gay men. So you're lucky
Only 4? There was one letter. I hope she's not in the audience today. There was one letter and said, Matthew, I'm not in two minds about asking you out, even though I am a paranoid schizophrenic. And she's here tonight. Okay.
I can't even quote some of the letters, Matthew. I'm just surprised, girls. Really? Come on.
Oh, dear. What have we done? Welcome back to a special Valentine's Day love-in here on the Wright Stuff. Janet Ellis, Henry Bonsu and Richard Mackney are playing Cupid on the panel today. And we're talking this part about blind dates. Actually, you can talk about anything you like, but blind dates is the main focus. All your stories we want to hear, give us a tinkle right now. But before we hear your tall tales, what is happening with my blind date? You see, I can't believe the producer is letting you choose. That wasn't part of the plan. Anyway, it really wasn't. Anyway, in case you've forgotten, I thought I was onto a right winner here. Anyway, I'm sure I am. In case you ladies have forgotten who our competition ladies are, here's Matt with a quick reminder.
It's Natasha at number 1. Will you pick her? Beautiful, sexy, long legs. I'll have her if you don't. Number 2, Caroline, the air stewardess from Essex. Any drink, and she's yours. And number 3, Charlotte, who's 30, from Kent. She was leading last time. Will be she leading this time? Matthew, the decision, thank God, isn't yours.
She was 29 a minute ago, wasn't she?
It's her birthday.
And I'm just a year on.
So you just stay around my place, you don't need to worry about where you're going home to. Right, now, thank you very much for the map. If you think the lovely Natasha is the lady for me this Valentine's night, 0901 561 0011 is the number you should dial. If the gorgeous Caroline is my ideal woman, Thing of the Air Miles, 0901 561 0012 is the number you should dial. Or if the delicious Charlotte is the one for me, dial 0901 561 0013. Think about it long term here. You know, this could be a future relationship here. Could be. Anyway, the results so far: Charlotte still in the lead, 65%. Caroline still in second place, 27%. And Natasha, you lot are wicked to Natasha, 8%. But 8 lovely percent.
Just think, he's going to have a... Oh, please phone in. Oh, dear.
Save Natasha from Matt. So far. Anyway, I hope my date is a success, I really do. But let's face it, blind dates can actually go one of two ways. You either meet the love of your life, which is unlikely but possible, or you waste an awful lot of time, money and effort and television time on someone who's, well, not right. Shall we leave it at that? Anyway, that doesn't seem to put people off blind dates, but are they ever a good idea, Janet?
Yeah, they are when you're in your teens.
Thank you!
What about if you're very old?
My first ever date was a blind date, and I was set up with a girl in the year above who went out with her boyfriend and said, he's got a mate, and I went out with him for a while, actually.
Did you?
And it was fine, yeah. Yeah, because I've had blind dates since, in the lull between husbands. I had the sort of blind dates which aren't blind dates, you know, where you get along to some sort of gathering and you look around the room and it's all couple, oh, single man, right. Oh, I'm sitting next to him, good heavens, yes. And what it means is, of course, for the whole of the evening, everybody else in the room is watching you two to see if there's any chemistry at all. So even if you say, I wonder if you could pass the butter, she asked me to pass the butter, it's going really well. That's not the sort that you ever want to set up. Although I have to say, I really enjoy doing it for my friends. I'm like Dolly Levi. I really like it. I think they'd be good together. But I do try and sprinkle it with a few other singles, so it's not quite that flipping obvious.
It's a great thing to do, and I welcome it. It's like a little kind of arranged marriage. People could do it more and more and more, because if you look at the majority of Londoners, they find real difficulty, don't they, Matthew? Using the opposite sex. They
have to go on TV and stuff.
I used to hold exhale evenings at my flat. You know, exhale evenings, as in waiting to exhale. You know, all these women were sitting out there, desperate, watching Ally McBeal, nothing to do on a Friday, having pizza. And I thought to myself, well, bring them round to my flat. I'll help them out.
Yeah, no, services.
Well, indeed.
No,
treat,
Henry.
I have had one or two blind dates as well, quite a few actually, and unfortunately it was recorded for posterity by the Voice newspaper.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They,
and you're still single, aren't you? This is the great irony.
It didn't work. They matched me with a young woman at a Caribbean restaurant in Brixton. And I was sitting there with the photographer waiting for her to arrive at 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Oh, no.
And the initial picture showed handsome Henry, then later on it was hapless Henry, walking out of the restaurant with doggy bag like this.
Oh, Henry.
But when it was put in the paper, several women rang in and said, I'll have him, which is nice.
Oh.
She was found in a lock-up garage in Stepney.
So, mate, you got any funny toilets?
I did have one recently, I think possibly the first one, unless my memory is very bad. I did have a blind date before Christmas, which I can't tell you too much. Actually, whatever.
Yeah, no, you please don't. Go on.
All right, then.
You get the first base.
Her home address.
Right.
It's just very weird, because your expectations are always more substantial than what... They're always going to... except today, obviously. But, so they're always, my vision of this girl was going to be, everyone would say she's beautiful, and everyone would say she's absolutely beautiful. And then you go and meet, and of course, she's not going to be that beautiful. And, you know, she has to be Cameron Diaz and above, and she was quite beautiful, but not...
You don't think you're just overly picky?
I'll take anything.
Shallow, they're saying over there.
I am. Shallow too, immature. But still, it all happened that day, you know.
Let's go to the phone and see what you at home have to say about blind dates, whether they work or whether they're just a recipe for disaster. Beth.
We've got some Valentine's messages first. To my darling Mindy, I love you with all my heart, baby. You are my life, from Michael. And also, I'm going to say this wrong. Wolf Woo What Swear from Matthew. He says, love you, what, Sarah, from Matthew, basically, but it's a cute kind of, whoa.
That relationship is doomed. Practically doomed.
He emails says, please don't say my full name, because my friends will take the mick, and I really am tempted to say his full name.
And mobile phone number.
Matthew Pluck.
Matthew Plug.
There you go. On line 4, we'll talk to Dave from London.
Dave, good morning.
Good morning to you. Back in the 80s, I was a musician, and this friend was playing in a London show, and he set me up with a girl that he knew.
Right.
And we went, and all through the performance, we must have been sat about 4 rows from the orchestra pit, and this girl started making eye contact with this friend of mine in the orchestra pit, and after the show, they hooked up and left me standing in Trafalgar Square. So, however, I did get my own back. I married 10 years later, and my wife and I got our own back. We actually set him up on a blind date with a drag queen.
Oh, let me just have a look. No, we're okay. We're okay.
He has never told me the outcome.
What would be your advice for someone going off on a blind date then?
Oh, do it. It's a heck of a laugh. I mean, you know, I'm married now.
Do
but
what?
I'd love to go on a blind date.
Well, lucky.
Which bit? No. Well, I'll leave it. Thank you very much for that, Dave. Can we squeeze another one in? No. No time. No time. No time. Robbie Williams didn't call them Beth. Now there's a surprise.
Oh, I'm
Beth, you
gutted.
could do better than that.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Rob Stewart.
Okay, how much money has he got in the bank? No, seriously, if Robbie's out there, please call.
Don't be desperate, Beth. It doesn't suit you. Just sit back.
Oh, I don't know.
Right, time runners on. This is the moment I've been waiting for all week, all of my life, more like. Yeah, this is where we're going to find out who is going to be my Valentine blind date. I asked you to choose one of these three gorgeous girls, Natasha, Caroline and Charlotte, and I have to hand over to MC Matt to find out who it's going to be. I am nervous as hell.
Well, Janet's got the envelope there. Can we have a drum roll, please?
Well, I have to say, well done to all of you. I've been saying you're brave this morning. That's not the right word, but...
Scared, though.
Yeah, scared, definitely.
Oh, Hardy.
But I'm sorry there's got to be a winner, but nevertheless there is, and her name is Charlotte.
There's a bottle of champagne, and there's counselling sessions in my dressing room afterwards.
Here we go, out of the way, out of the way. 2 kisses. Congratulations. Congratulations to you two. I'm terribly sorry. The Air Miles is the best offer I've had ever, actually. And to you two, they just have no taste. Thank you so much for
Matthew,
coming
you
along.
didn't say the second prize is 2 nights with you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, wicked night. I've got dinner planned. We're going to see you at 8 o'clock. They're going to give you all the details, yeah? Right. Before that, lucky old me. Anyway, I don't want to waste any more time because I want to get to know everybody here in a little bit more detail. We'll leave the programme here for today. My thanks to Janet, to Henry, and to Richard as well for a marvellous show this morning. And to Charlotte as well for winning. I can't believe my luck, really, can you? How old are you, really? 30. And where are you from, really? Brentwood, Essex. I'm in luck. Listen, don't forget to join us again on Monday. You know what they say about Essex girls, it's all true, isn't it? We'll see you on Monday at 10 when my guest will be relationship and expert Jenny Trent Hughes and Ian Highland with his Look at the TV. Have a great Valentine's Day. Why not come and join the action? There's a seat for you in our London studio, so come along and have your say on the Wright Stuff. Phone 0207 173 5555 to book your free place.